Pierluigi Collina is an Italian soccer referee whom players and fans often call the best referee of his generation and respected for his serious approach to the job. And while his interesting appearance also contributed to his fame, his main claim was his ability to control the game. You'll learn how the legendary referee lives from this video. Pierluigi Collina, where the legendary soccer referee is now. Pierluigi Collina was born on February 13, 1960, in the Italian city of Bologna and was an only child. His father, Elia, worked as a civil servant in the Ministry of Defense, and Luciana, his mother, was a primary school teacher. From the age of 5, the boy began attending St. Anne's Catholic Primary School in Bologna, although at the time 5-year-olds were not supposed to be accepted into schools. Therefore, when inspectors came to the school, the nuns hid the young student. Once he was hidden in a warehouse among furniture and kept there all morning because the head of the primary education visited the school. Then, after passing the school's entrance exam, Pierluigi entered the school legally. He has few memories of those years, mostly remembering how the nuns pinched his cheeks or pulled his ears if he made mistakes. But what Collina does remember is his time on the small soccer field behind the parish church. He spent all his free time there until it was dark, returning home covered in sweat, and his mother scolded him often for it. She attributed her son's numerous colds to hypothermia after the games, but only a few years later it turned out that his frequent runny noses were from one of Pierluigi's many allergies. But no runny nose or bad weather could stop Pierluigi from his favorite activity. When the field became unusable due to rain, snow, or cold, he and his friends organized toy soccer tournaments in a house made of Lego parts and bread figures. Moreover, they took their tournaments seriously. The matches were held both in the championship at home and away, and everyone formed their dream team of Series A players. Collina began meeting with those friends less when he moved to a secondary school in the center of Bologna, but he had the opportunity to meet new friends from different parts of the city. Soccer classes were also now played at a new level. The boy started playing for a team under the parish church Orion, although to be more precise, he sat on the bench more often than not and felt very discouraged because of this. But Pierluigi didn't just love soccer, he was very interested in basketball as well. This is not surprising because there were several strong teams in Bologna at the time. Unlike the vast majority of his friends who were rooting for the rich and first-place Virtus team, Collina was rooting for Fortitudo, a poor team at the time that was on and off between leagues. After graduating from high school, the young man enrolled in a lyceum with a scientific and humanitarian bias in one of the historical institutes of Bologna. Pierluigi, while not known for his success in studying, still put in minimal effort, and he graduated from the lyceum with a score of 48 out of 60 points, which was much higher than he or his parents expected. While still studying at the Lyceum, 15-year-old Collina, along with several of his teammates on the Orion soccer team, went to another amateur club called Pallavicini to watch a match. It was there that his abilities were finally appreciated, and for several years the guy played in a now-forgotten position of a libero, a free defender who could play along the entire vertical of the field and be useful both in defense, midfield, and attack. At the age of 17, the person sitting next to Pierluigi at the Lyceum invited him to enroll in courses for arbitrators with him. Collina agreed. He was motivated by a great desire to breathe soccer. Even his technical abilities would not allow him to become a professional soccer player. Gradually, he became engrossed with refereeing work and began to work at matches for amateur teams, and just 3 years later, he was entrusted with judging matches of regional significance. When entering the university in 1979, the young man had many doubts about which studies to choose, commercial and economic or legal. Finally, he chose to study economics and commerce. His student years gave Pierluigi unforgettable memories and friends with whom he still keeps in touch with. His studies at the university were interrupted by mandatory military service, or rather an alternative assignment to a fire station in his hometown. During this, he developed a problem with his knee. He underwent meniscus surgery, and the sick leave he was given was supposed to last just until the end of his service. But as soon as his knee got a little better, instead of returning to the fire station, Pierluigi returned to the soccer field. Unfortunately, when one of the matches he was refereeing caught the eye of a firefighter who was on permanent duty, that same firefighter decided to show it to the commander. As there were several months left before his service ended, during this time Pierluigi not only participated in all the fire calls, but also became an expert in peeling potatoes in the kitchen. Returning to the university afterwards, Collina graduated with honors in 1984. after which he still entered law school. But by that time, Pierluigi was already actively refereeing soccer matches and working as a marketer for a media company from Milan, so there was no time for studying. At the same time, 24-year-old Collina began to rapidly go bald. Every day his hair fell out in large clumps. In just a few weeks, he was practically bald. According to doctors, he had acute alopecia, pathological hair loss, but the reasons were not clear. Hair loss did not disrupt Pierluigi's daily life. On the contrary, as he jokes, it allowed him to save money on shampoo. But later the referee admitted that he was very lucky that it happened when he was older and public opinion did not affect his self-esteem as much. Therefore, after someone shouted insults at an 11-year-old boy in a youth team who was also going bald rapidly, Collina wrote him a letter with words of support. He wrote that baldness never prevented him from achieving his goals and even made him more recognizable and famous. Appearance really helped increase his recognition, and when Collina began judging matches of the Italian Series C in 1988, he immediately received the nickname Kojak in honor of the bald hero from the American TV series of the same name. Later, the nicknames Kruger and Frankenstein were added. In that same year, Pierluigi met a girl named Gianna. Almost immediately, they began to live together. First a couple of years in Bologna, and then at Gianna's suggestion, they moved to the Tuscan city of Viareggio on the coast of the Ligurian Sea. There in 1991, Collina was invited to work at a bank, but soon he began to receive calls to work on the matches of Series B in the highest Italian division, Series A. Then the referee realized that he would not be able to combine soccer and office work and retrained himself as a freelance financial consultant. Giant companies such as IBM and Unilever have repeatedly hired him to conduct master classes for managers. At the same time, Pierluigi and Gianna got married. Since then, the couple has had 2 children, daughters Francesca Romana and Carolina. According to Pierluigi, he once wanted to have a son, but he feels blessed with his 2 daughters. He admits that his girls can make him do anything. The referee was also very pleased that his wife and children were not very interested in soccer, and he could take a break at home from talking about work. But Pierluigi's wife loves basketball just as much as he does. At one point, Collina even used her as a mascot in a match with Virtus. His beloved Fortitudo managed to win 8 matches one after another, and the fans as well as the club's leaders invited the referee to watch the game, asking Gianna to come too. In 1995, having reffed 43 matches at the highest national level, Pierluigi Collina was placed among the highest level of FIFA referees, and after refereeing one of the first international matches between China and England's national teams in May 1996, the Italian once again proved his loyalty to Fortitudo basketball team. Although he had several meetings and press conferences in Beijing after the match, the referee, after coming up with a good reason, flew to Italy to catch their championship match. Collina's first major tournament was the 1996 Olympic Games, where the Italian refereed 5 games, including the finals between Nigeria and Argentina. Pierluigi Collina as a referee was distinguished by how he talked to the players and explained his decisions to them during the match, which often prevented possible conflicts. Not to mention, he was able to communicate fluently with the players using his knowledge of English, Spanish, and French languages, in addition to his native Italian. He explained the decisions to other referees and journalists. This was the case, for example, in 1997, when Collina canceled Internazionale's goal in a match with Juventus, and then at a press conference, he justified the decision in detail. In the same year, Collina was recognized as the best referee in the Italian Championship at the Oscar del Calcio Award ceremony. In 1998, the Italian referee received calls for 2 matches of the 1998 World Cup and was again recognized as the best referee in Series A, as well as in the world. In the following years, he received these awards multiple times, raising the bar of his refereeing higher and higher. Pierluigi Collina prepared thoroughly for each match. He read all the latest articles about the teams in newspapers and the internet, watched up to 15 hours of videos and even highlights of individual players. On the eve of the games, he held meetings with members of his team of referees and talked in detail about the lineups, the team's tactics, and in which zones the potential dangers could occur, and what each assistant could expect in his half of the field. As the journalists who came to the referee's house in Viareggio shared, the piles of videotapes in his living room reached the ceiling. Speaking about his work, Pierluigi admitted that most of all, he does not like to show a yellow card, as required by the rules, to a player who is too excited about scoring a goal. It is unfair that at a time when emotions are raging in the stands, the player should remain indifferent. In 1999, Pierluigi Collina refereed the legendary Champions League final between Bayern Munich and Manchester United. Collina's decision to add 3 minutes to the main time turned into an incredible comeback for the Red Devils. Losing 0-1, during the added time they managed to score 2 goals and win the title. In 2000, the referee worked at the European Championship, where in the Netherlands-Czech Republic match he made one of his few dubious decisions, putting a penalty in the last minute with the score 0-0. 2 years later, Collina went to the World Championships in South Korea and Japan. However, on the eve of the tournament, Pierluigi failed all the physical fitness tests because he took them while being ill with a fever. He was still allowed to referee matches and judge the meeting between Argentina and England in the group stage, where the outcome of the game was determined by the penalty awarded to the Argentines. In the eighth finals, the Italian reffed the teams of Japan and Turkey, and then was assigned to the final between Germany and Brazil. When there was a few seconds left before the end of the match, Collina began to think about how he could pick up the ball as a souvenir. He even turned to a Brazilian player and asked him for the ball, but he did not understand the referee's request. Then, after a violation by the German, he got to the ball himself, giving the final whistle on the way, and after the match and during the awarding, he held it in his hands. Immediately after the World Cup, in July 2002, the cartoon Collina appeared in George Michael's video Shoot the Dog, where he showed a red card to British Prime Minister Tony Blair. At the same time, the real Collina took part in a fashion show in Rome, parading in a dark suit and tie from the men's collection of an Italian fashion designer. The Italian also urges his fellow judges to be more open and participate more often in social events or TV shows. In his opinion, this will help to change the fans' perception of referees and their work for the better. Pierluigi himself has excellently managed to become a prominent figure not only on the soccer field, but also in popular culture. His appearance is recognized even by people who are not fans, and his name often appears in jokes. In the same year, at the Italian award Oscar del Calcio, Pierluigi again became the best referee of Series A, but after hearing a joke about his bald head, he broke the award and left the show. Collina said that he considers it very rude to joke about the disease, especially since children also suffer from it. On January 10, 2003, Pierluigi Collina became the first foreign referee to judge a French League One match between Olympique Lyon and Olympique Marseille. In the same year, Collina's autobiographical book titled My Rules of the Game was published. During the 2003-2004 season, the Italian worked in 29 matches of the Italian Championship and earned $173,000, becoming the highest-paid judge in the country. Pierluigi also represented Italy at international tournaments more often than others. In May 2004, Collina refereed the UEFA Cup final match between Valencia and Marseille, and in June he started working at the European Championship, which became his last major tournament. There he was entrusted with refereeing the opening match between the hosts of the tournament, Portugal and Greece. Collina also refereed the group stage game between Croatia and England and the Greece-Czech Republic semi-final. In 2005, after Pierluigi turned 45, the Italian Soccer Federation took an unprecedented step by raising the age limit for referees from 45 to 46. It should be noted that during the previous full season of 2004-2005, the referee earned $215,000. On June 4, 2005, Collina refereed his last national team qualifying match for the 2006 World Cup between Portugal and Slovakia. Then he continued to referee in the Italian Championship and European competitions. On August 21st, he refereed the match of Series A, Pavia Bari. On August 25th, the match of the Champions League qualifying round between Villarreal and Everton, where he made a controversial decision to cancel the goal by the English, and on August 29th, he resigned from the Italian Referees Association, thereby ending his career. The reason for this was an advertising contract for $800,000 with the car manufacturer Opel. Since the car maker was also a sponsor of Milan, the deal was perceived as a conflict of interest, and Collina was not allowed to referee the matches of the top division in Italy. After completing his refereeing career, Pierluigi worked for a while with the Sky Sports TV channel as a sports reporter, and also sometimes refereed charity matches. In 2006, a major corruption scandal broke out in Italian soccer, as a result of which many people were punished, including referees. But Pierluigi Collina's reputation remained unblemished, as in one of the telephone conversations, The former Juventus executive director and one of the main defendants in the case, Luciano Moggi, called him and another referee, Robert Rossetti, too objective. This allowed him to work as a consultant to the head of the Series A refereeing corps from December of the same year, and after being reinstated in the Italian Association of Arbitrators in July 2007, he headed it. In January 2010, Collina judged the charity match Friends of Zidane and Ronaldo against the Benfica team, which was held to raise funds to help those killed in the earthquake in Haiti. In June, Pierluigi's 19-year-old daughter Francesca was involved in a car accident, but only got moderate injuries. On July 4, 2010, Pierluigi Collina headed the UEFA refereeing committee and the next day signed a 2-year agreement with the Soccer Federation of the Ukraine to act as a curator of the refereeing system in professional soccer. In particular, the Italian specialist had to create an effective program for training and organizing the activities of arbitrators in Ukrainian professional soccer leagues, reform the committee of arbitrators, and manage programs for training referees, appointing referees, evaluating arbitration, and determining sanctions. One of the first decisions of Collina in his new post was the rejection of foreign referees and a new system of physical training for Ukrainian referees. The salary in this position, according to unofficial information, was $680,000 per year, and after 5 years it increased to $1.13 million per year. In 2011, Pierluigi entered the Italian Soccer Hall of Fame, and in 2012, he was recognized as the best soccer referee for the last 25 years. In January 2016, Collina was appointed head of the FIFA judiciary. After that, he resigned from his post at UEFA, and in 2017, he terminated his contract with the Ukrainian Soccer Federation. In 2020, the French edition of French Football recognized the Italian specialist as the best soccer referee of all time. Now Pierluigi Collina's fortune is estimated at $4 million. When he was still an acting referee, due to his noticeable appearance, Collina often starred in commercials, which is rare for referees. Immediately after the 2002 World Cup, the Italian became the advertising face of a frozen food line in Japan. And in Turkey, he was called to promote the Aria mobile operator. Pierluigi collaborated with Adidas and once became the face of the watch brand Lorenz, replacing supermodel and actress Letizia Casta. He also appeared twice on the cover of the simulator Pro Evolution Soccer. Neither before Collina nor after have referees become the face of popular games. After the end of his career, the famous referee was involved in cooperation with the Singapore beer brand Tiger and the Turkish division of MasterCard. In the commercial for the payment system, Colin refereed an amateur match in the atmosphere of the Champions League. At the same time, according to the authors of the video, none of the soccer fans who came to the game knew that the Italian would appear. The legendary referee has retired and lives in Viareggio with his wife and babysits his grandchildren. Pierluigi used to spend a lot of time driving to calm down after matches. One of his first cars was a Volvo 240, given to him by his parents, and now the Italian prefers comfort and chooses SUVs. There is a saying that the best referee is the one who is not noticeable on the field, but according to Collina, the best referee is not the one who is not noticeable, but the one who has the character to make a decision even when it is very difficult. And which match, refereed by Pierluigi Collina, do you remember most? If you like the video, leave a like and also subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss anything interesting.